Hi, I'm Danielle Matias, and I wanted to do a video about the first mental health commandment that I created from my book Rebirth. I wanted to talk a little bit about how it came to be and why I believe it's so important. So, when I sat down to write my book, I wanted to create a guide of mental health principles that would really help someone who is struggling with their mental health, especially depression and anxiety. So I really had to think about all the sessions I ever had, my own journey with my mental health, and I thought, what are the 10 most important things? And then I thought of the 10 commandments, and just because I thought it was a very cute play on words, I chose to call them 10 mental health commandments. So mental health commandment 1 is to cultivate a strong relationship with the self. And I want to explain why that's number 1 and why it's so important. So much of suffering that happens in people in my own life or when I've treated people has been relationships or fear of loss, attachment issues, anxious attachment, being mistreated by a partner but being too afraid to leave because you don't want to be alone. It's just a lot of parallels to relationships and connection with others. And so it came really clear to me that you really have to be able to stand on your own to find true happiness. It doesn't mean that you live without people. It just means that you don't need them. They become a complement, a pleasure, a luxury. They're not a necessity to your happiness. And when you're able to cultivate a strong relationship with the self, you actually become better at being a friend, at being a husband or wife, a brother or sister, a son or daughter, mother, father, because you're less needy, you require less. It's more of a kind of just love each other, enjoy each other type of relationship. So part of cultivating a strong relationship with the self also entails the relationship you have with yourself as well, right? So it's two things. It's being able to be alone and be happy, but also what kind of relationship do you have with yourself? So each chapter is comprised of 5 parts. The first part is self-love. Self-love is very important because it talks about how do you love yourself. It is not self-esteem. Those are two different things, and I'm very clear in the book of differentiating the two. Self-esteem is how one feels about themselves in relation to the world. So if I walk into a room full of people and I might think, oh, they think I'm ugly, that's self-esteem issues, right? It's like how I believe other people perceive me and how I perceive myself. Self-love is a little bit different. It's about how much do you love yourself? Do you take care of yourself the way that a loving mother would take care of her newborn infant? So a loving mother, when she has her newborn infant, she's going to care for that baby to the best of her ability. She's going to guard it from harm. She's going to make sure that it has everything it needs. She's going to be very on top of the development and well-being of her child. Why? Because she loves her child. That love is the type of love you need to have for yourself. And that's what I talk about in the first part of the book in chapter 1. So self-love is not easy because we're not taught it. It's not something that we grow up with. Mom doesn't usually say, okay, make sure you eat your vegetables and you talk about how much you love yourself. No, actually, we're conditioned the opposite. We're conditioned to be very humble and to not be boasting or to not give so much attention to ourselves. We're taught that selfishness is very bad. And selfishness can be bad, but sometimes it's necessary. I think it's all about a balance. So because we're conditioned to not be concerned with the self, almost when you're going through the rebirth process, you have to recondition yourself to be very concerned with the self because you matter. And if you have the right amount of love and nurture in your life, you'll be in a better position to help others and love others. So self-love is a huge part. Then, of course, we move on to self-esteem. And that's equally important. Knowing that you're beautiful, wonderful, that you have something to offer the world, that you're intelligent, that you have a set of skills that matters. So self-esteem is really important, but it's a very long journey if you struggle with your self-esteem. So it's discussed in the book as well. And then we move on to self-care. What is self-care? Self-care is how do you care about yourself? So it could be going to a spa day. It could be just taking a nap in the middle of the day. It could be investing in your education. It could be how do you care for yourself? When you're stressed, when you're upset, when you're angry, what do you do for you to make sure that you're caring for you? And it's going to look different for everyone, but we all need a set self-care routine, and that's extremely important. Of course, then we move on to self-awareness. Self-awareness is very important because it's basically how aware are you of your own feelings, thoughts, behaviors, concerns. Some people have this thing that they do where they turn off self-awareness and they pay no attention to how they truly feel. But if you're not in touch with yourself, you cannot help yourself navigate through life. You have to have a very clear, open, and honest dialogue with the self. So that's why we talk about self-awareness. And lastly, emotional independence. So that goes back to the concept of being happy alone. Let's say you really want to go out and have nachos and a beer, and the boy you like is not texting you. You go out and you have those nachos and a beer by yourself, and you have yourself a good old time. Or the girl you really like is not giving you any attention. You go out. Maybe your mom hasn't been texting you and you're missing her. Oh, you tell your mom you're missing her, you want to see her, but you say, you know what? Me and my mom, we always go to bingo. Today I'm going to go to bingo by myself. And maybe you'll meet a nice woman who reminds you of your mom and you become friends with her. It's just about being independent, being responsible for your own emotional well-being and not waiting for anyone or anything. The more self-sufficient you are, the better off you'll be in life, the happier you'll be in life. So each chapter starts with a quote, and I'm going to read the quote for Mental Health Commandment 1. It says, "We search relentlessly for love from others to make a safe place and call it home. And all the while, our safe place called home lied within." I really love that quote because I believe that we search and search and search, but really the key to happiness is inside of you. So you have to really start searching intrinsically and stop searching extrinsically. I wrote this book from the heart. I really believe in this message. If you're interested, check it out. It's called Rebirth, Guide Back to Happiness, Overcoming Depression, Anxiety, and Hopelessness Using the 10 Mental Health Commandments. My name is Danielle Luz Matias, and you can find it on Amazon.com.